Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to dive into the world of S/4HANA and ECC's end-to-end finance integration with Jason and Kenny today. In today's session, we're going to explore how to streamline your financial processes, enhance efficiency, and gain real-time insights into your financial performance. For those of you who have not followed this series, we have taken a deep dive into what the differences between S4 and ECC across the different functional areas in SAP. If you missed any of our previous webinars, they are all available on the Reveal website under the Insights tab. Today's discussion will be approximately 30 minutes, followed by time to ask questions. During the presentation, feel free to ask your questions inside of the Q&A or the chat tab at the top of the screen. At this time, I want to introduce you to today's experts, Jason and Kenny. With 20 plus years of experience, Jason possesses a deep understanding of business processes from the production floor to financial management. His expertise spans across accounting, finance, IT, leadership, and consulting. He is passionate about helping businesses achieve their goals through improved performance, streamlined operations, and strategic technology investments. Kenny, a skilled tech professional, brings expertise in corporate accounting and finance to the table. He has a strong focus on maximizing revenue from sales and services and a talent for identifying cost savings opportunities within the supply chain, inventory management, and labor optimization. So let's welcome Jason and Kenny and get settled in for a great session today. Jason, Kenny, I'm handing it off to you.
Thanks, Kelly. We have a lot to get through today. As you can see, my partner in crime, Kenny, is way better looking than me. So we decided to keep him off camera for today. But remember, you will have access to this recording when it's over. So we're going to go fast. There's a lot to cover. But just to give you an idea, you'll be able to come back and see it. So if you miss anything, don't worry about it. You'll get a copy of this later. So SAP, or any ERP for that matter, is a really significant investment. So many times we spend, it's tens of millions of dollars sometimes to implement this stuff. And I guess I'd ask the question, do we really treat it like an asset, as if we had bought a machine or a new facility or something like that? And I would say not typically. Most of the time, we get to a point where SAP is really effective as a transactional tool to record what happens, but we never really transform the business processes around it to really squeeze value out of it and see a significant ROI on that investment. And then we start to bolt on other things and we move to Excel or special reporting tools and such in a way to try to close perceived gaps in the SAP product. When in reality, we really could take advantage of the full functionality of SAP if we knew what we were missing and drive that business value. So from our perspective, that's what we're really passionate about here at Reveal, and that's kind of what we're going to touch on today, is how do I take advantage of this powerhouse that I just bought to actually drive business value and not just process transactions more quickly. So we're going to plant some seeds around S4. S4 can do that for the finance organization. Hopefully have a little bit of fun in the process. So a theme that we're going to touch on throughout this is extreme simplification. And this is enabled by the data structures in the HANA database that SAP brought to the table with this new version of the ERP. So this is the table structure in ECC or Business Suite. It's pretty robust. And if you look at some of the names, I think they had a sense of humor, like Be Sick and Be Sad, because this does kind of make me sad. We have tables in here that are designed for indexing, for totals, document tables, and it's all primarily to optimize performance in a traditional relational database. So S4 brings to the table a different model, and we're not going to go into the details of that today, but suffice to say it's simplified. Everything from a financial perspective lives in this one table, the universal journal, single source of truth for all. These other tables that you recognize from over here, they're still there in the background, but they're largely to enable some historical things and reporting and such. They really have no bearing on the financial functions of S4 itself. So what do we mean by this? I guess I'm going to hand this over to Kenny. This is great if you're a techie. It's fascinating, but what does it actually mean for the business in terms of driving value to the organization?
Yep. Thanks, Jason and Kelly. Yeah, taking it over. So we all love SAP, at least, or we are big users of SAP, or will be using it in the future. That's why we are here. And why do we do so? Because there's awesome concepts that SAP has been living, or we have been living in the SAP world, the material ledger, the profit center accounting, controlling, COPA, asset accounting, and others. But each of these, think of each of these as their own little databases that exist within the ECC or the previous R3 version. That is changing. And so the reconciliation, the two-way match of these small little databases is going away. And like Jason mentioned in the previous slide, it is all going to be going into the single source of truth called the Universal Journal AC Docket, which you guys must have heard about. So what that means is my general ledger controlling all these awesome functionalities that you're used to it, they all are going to sit in a single source, which is Universal Journal. And what that means, what we have seen in terms of some statistics, is 71% faster batch input processing in financial closing, 40% less posting corrections in financial close. And for a typical large company, 400 hours less of processing time at the quarter end close and even month end close.
So, Kenny, if you think about this practically, things that you're all used to, like settling production orders or settling plant maintenance orders, all of that goes away in the future world. All right, my child just decided to invade my space here.
Yeah, like it's not going away. It's what we will talk about as a soft close. So we can constantly every day, not that doesn't happen typically, but at least every week, companies can keep on closing and checking their process order closing and how things are looking, and they can do some advanced analysis of how things are looking. They do not have to wait for the month end to go through the closing process. We'll talk about that in a
and I think we have a practical example on this next slide. I'm gonna let you walk through, if you would, to give you a little bit of sense of the richness of the data available.
Yes, correct. So over here, what we are seeing, this is how exactly the data structure is looking in the new AC Doc 8 table on the right-hand side of the screen. So data is the same data that we see in BSEG is enriched from just the typical receivables, taxes, revenues, or any other kind of GL lines. Now, each of these lines have a value to it. It can be, so the same things can now be enriched with profit centers, with products, with customers, and many other fields, which we will see later on when we talk about COPA. So, but if you see overall, the message here is same data, much more enriched with a lot more fields available as columns.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is something called extension ledgers. It seems like a really cool concept. So I'd like you to walk through this a little bit and help us understand what this brings to the table.
Correct. This is one of the things that enabled extreme simplification. So SAP did come up with a new concept in ECC days called parallel ledgers, which enabled companies to do parallel reporting in multiple GAAP requirements like IFRS versus US GAAP and others. But now with S4 HANA, we do not have to do parallel ledger. We can also have what is called as the concept of extension ledger or delta ledger. So the concept is that your main ledger, the leading ledger, that would act as your official ledger, of course, and then anything that you need on top of it to do adjustments, they can be done only solely on the extension ledger. So the data footprint reduces significantly. Earlier, everything was replicated from the ledger to the non-parallel to the actual parallel ledger, but now we do not have to do complete replication. we can actually just put the top side adjustment entries and create our own ledger. What this means is from a can this be used immediately? Yes, it can be. There's a flexibility of just start turning it on at any given point of time, and it automatically retains the historical data in the underlying leading ledger, and it can be deactivated in a live system as well. So if you are on S4 already, you have this ability to turn this on or off anytime to get your reporting in multiple ledgers. You can and you do not have to create any new reports or any of that. You can use your existing reports and just this. All you have to do is just extend while running your reports. Just have to add that extension ledger in your report, and you can get the same data. Of course, it's a reduced data footprint.
And I think this key point here is you can do this at any point in time. Some of these features in ECC, while this is more robust, there were parallel ledgers, but even some of that stuff you could only do at a year end. So some of this being able to just do it at any point in time is really cool and take advantage of all that historical data.
Correct.
So really significant enabler. And you think about the idea here, like all of the work that you're doing to reconcile with your non-leading ledgers is largely automated in this future world that it just makes that month-end reporting process and year-end and all of that a whole lot easier, I think.
Right. And one of the other advantages of this is in the extension ledger concept, SAP has introduced what is called as the predictive ledger and the simulation ledger. So what that can do is it can predict your future P&Ls and it can help you in forecasting. We'll talk about that when we go to the next features.
Awesome. Yeah. So another area, Kenny, I know that we've talked about that has some pretty significant improvements is in intercompany reconciliation, which I think might excite some people. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes, this is
70% less time spent on intercompany reconciliation. I'm going on vacation. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, now this is a significant improvement in one of my favorite areas. So what happens is within a group, there are of course some intricate business relationships that unfold between different subsidiaries. We're all part of it. And to meet up that requirements for financial reporting at the group level, these inter-company, inter-group activities need some reconciliation and offsetting, which we all know is really painful. However, with SAP ICMR, SAP has now provides a comprehensive and standardized solution that optimizes and implements reconciliation and addressing both individual financial statements and group level financial statements. Again, something we'll talk about in the group reporting. And this is the way that it does it on the screen. Is it basically you collect data from different resources from different companies, you match documents using the automated matching rules that are driven based off your financial statement items, and you resolve any discrepancies, and which also means that if there are any minor differences, you can automatically post it if you have chosen the configuration to be such, and you can also do some automatic manual adjustments using this tool itself. Overall, it helps you keep your balances in check with multidimensional reports, so it is a huge time saver.
Okay, so there's a lot of awesomeness here in terms of efficiency to be had in the finance space. There's another area that I want to dive into here that I also think is pretty exciting called accrual engines. So let's dive into that a little bit. Am I correct in understanding that this is going to look at my open PO balance and automatically accrue everything for me on the fly?
Exactly. You're totally correct. So accrual management is used particularly for costs incurred but not yet posted, such as services received. But the point to be noted over here, it is not for inventory or any other fixed assets. It's for services or things of that nature, like rents and all that good stuff that we traditionally use the either way more manual uploads from Excel or the traditional SAP approach. So with S4HANA, what SAP has done is it has introduced this concept called accrual engine, which automates and streamlines accrual calculations and postings, both for purchase order based accruals as well as manual accruals. These integrated applications basically reduce a lot of effort and errors, ensuring efficient and more accurate financial processes. And overall, it enables continuous financial closing. Remember the soft close concept? So this is very vital. And of course, it gives us what our true working capital is uh, through, of course, running the accrual engine stuff. Its features includes fully integrated with the general ledger, of course. uh, it's totally automated. Once we put our objects in place, there's initial setting up of the accrual objects. Once those are set up, we just have to run the accrual engine. And then, of course, there are some embedded analytics that provide full transparency and auditability throughout the accrual process. So pretty slick. We will probably have one of the Fury apps later on to show how this looks like.
This is pretty awesome. And so if the idea, if we can essentially do a soft close pretty much anytime we want, then I'm assuming that the month end closing process is a whole lot less painful as well. So there's some really exciting stuff here. And honestly, we could continue to spend time talking about the opportunity, but we have a pretty short clock. So I want to go into our next topic, and that is in some of the innovations in the managerial accounting space. And I want to start with universal allocations,
Yeah.
which also is pretty exciting.
Yeah. So yeah. So from a reveal point of view, what I want to make the message that I want to give to the audience over here is, so from extreme simplification, which is reveals focus in financial accounting, we improve your processes. We help you simplify everything, even if you are going towards S4 or you're existing customer of S4. Whereas what we focus on managerial accounting is your future and your predictive future. We are heavily investing in the future planning and analysis concepts. So what that means is we would, of course, use managerial accounting as it exists, and then the additional functionalities of predictive analytics, predictive accounting based on your historical data to show the power of S4 for you to forecast or to plan or to analyze your future data and then make some smart decisions initial on, again, all based on AI machine learning, the buzzwords these days. So starting with the universal allocation, of course, if you see over here on this slide, what we are showing is, so this is a one-stop shop for different allocations. So earlier, if you, in your current ECC versions for the people already using SAP, if you see there are uh, applications to move the GL data from allocations point of view to do cost center allocations, to do profit center allocations, and then of course to the COPA allocations, and if you have a joint venture accounting going on that. But this is a one-stop shop, like I said, and it combines both actual and plan in a single Fury app. It has simulation capability, which means that I can simulate my data before I actually run it. Of course, predictive analytics. And then the big one is, which we will talk about and we'll see today, is the allocations flow theory app, which will basically show you in a pictorial representation of how the costs moved from the source the
Yeah,
object.
we have that later. I'm
Yeah.
excited to show that. It's really cool, but kind of covered all this. One thing I'm curious of, Kenny, because I hear the buzzwords all the time, predictive and simulations and all that. I'm curious if you could just give us like a practical example of where that becomes useful and how it can actually drive business value.
Oh, sure. Definitely. So this actual costing with material ledger, this especially provides the predictive aspect of it, this along with COPA. So what that means is I can use material ledger to capture my true costs as and when they occur. So I'm building the database, which I can use later on. So for each of these transactions, everything is getting into my S4HANA Universal Journal Act.A table. Now, come future time, I can use these exact historical data to build my future costs of how they would look like based on the purchasing cost of the raw materials in an item, based on any exchange rate differences, based on any price differences, are coming from the lower levels. So any of these costs that come are basically building your historical database, which we can use to predict what these things would be in the future to make sure your products are getting to the right market, getting at the right price, and all that stuff. So it really helps with all of that, and all of this is enabled through Material Ledger. Also,
So,
what we can, yeah, sorry,
so I'm
go ahead.
thinking, so that kind of reinforces another point that we preach here a lot at Reveal, which is data integrity. The value of these tools is so much better when we have tight processes and consistent um, data integrity within SAP, whether that's within the supply chain that feeds all this or whether it's within the accounting side of things. Super important for everybody. AI in particular, if you're at Sapphire here recently, they talked about Joule, kind of the co-pilot that SAP is introducing. All of that's going to work better when we have strong data integrity and consistent processes. So keep that in mind as you're going through. It isn't just about having these tools. It's how do we actually apply those to drive business value. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there that a lot of clients are not seeing.
Yep,
Um,
exactly.
So Kenny, let's talk a little bit more about profitability analysis and some of the changes there for folks that
Yeah.
may be used to COPA, but it's a little bit different in S4.
Yes, this is my absolute favorite one. So over here, basically what SAP has done is it has empowered the whole value of the costing based COPA which was used and put it uh, into the Universal Journal. What that means is it has made it into automatically reconciled to the GL account. If you see on the left hand side over here, my sales, my COGS, and my COGS split, and then and from a purchasing point of view, my purchase variances, my production variances, and the splits of those. So each of these are reconciled real time to the GL accounts. Now again, going back to our reveal concept of predictive. So now we are building the this database for and using this for predicted using this to do AI machine learning to see what are the different causes of the variances of how my material prices are increasing or decreasing, of how my labor prices are going up or down, or overheads. So each of these, and that is not only just from the GL point of view, but also from any of these things from a product point of view, from a sales district, if I have it, or a billing type, from customer, from this, or any of the other COPA characteristics. So we can do this kind of analysis for any of these things and do some really cool predictive analysis of how or what if analysis of how things will be in the future if we change one thing versus the other. The power of a lot of people ask that why should I use account-based COPA, which is called margin analysis now, instead of the costing-based COPA. And there's a small slide and small picture on the right side. So margin analysis, in addition to what costing-based COPA offered, it also now is, like I said, real-time reconciled into FI with FI. And there is this drill down of each of those uh, profitability margins by any of those characteristics. And shocking news, some of these can also be done, go into the balance sheet items, which was not everyone knows it wasn't there for ECC.
Wow. So there's so much here. And I think a key point that you and I've talked about a lot is getting beyond transactions and looking at planning and predictability of my financial performance. And I just think there's so much opportunity there that not everyone's seeing. But we are getting short on time, so I'm going to have to kick it up a little bit here. I want to talk about what I call the unsung hero of the S4 finance world, and that is central finance. I don't know that this is really fully understood out in the world, but I want to spend a little bit of time going through it. So, this idea of central finance is a stepping stone to S4, particularly for companies that may have multiple instances of SAP or even other ERP systems. It doesn't have to be SAP. So central finance provides kind of a central hub to consolidate all of your financial reporting. And from a migration perspective, it can be used as a stepping stone. So if I get all my financials in there, then I can start migrating processes over time. It's also really powerful for a situation where you might not want to combine all your financials. You think of like a private equity that wants to be able to spin off and add companies over time. You can still use central finance as a great place to consolidate all that reporting. You can even standardize your fiscal year. So if you've got different fiscal year variants in your source ERPs, you can standardize that in the central finance box to take some of that challenge out of the reporting process. So you can track it all in different currencies, and it's a really powerful tool that I don't know that a lot of people really understand. But I want to talk through this a little bit, Kenny, with you. So going back to this idea of consolidating on a single instance, and here's some of the architecture here. What does this bring to the table in terms of the migration to S4?
So basically what this means is, be it any source, S4HANA, SAP ECC, or even non-SAP ERP, or even Excel spreadsheet. So any of those can be replicated into what we see on the right side, again, the universal journal, the main single source of truth. So any of the data that is being posted in those source systems or databases is replicated into universal journal. So what that means is it's a faster way to get to S4HANA without disruption, and it gives you all the capabilities of S4HANA. So and the way it happens is we configure our S4HANA system with central finance, we enable it, and then we basically connect the systems, and we just allow the systems to post. And again, the user disruption is not there, but we get the advantages of S4HANA, of course.
So tell me, I think I know the answer to this, but I could centralize my AP and AR processing on this central finance box and take it out of the source systems if I wanted to, if I was looking to consolidate some of my operations. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, SAP recently introduced the concept of central payments. So that's exactly what it is. So I can do my payments from my S4HANA box, and automatically through what is called as the back posting, it will go back into any of these source systems and update the ledgers as needed over there as well.
Okay. And I think, the transactional level here sounds great, but like truly you can see the richness of the details of the source transaction from the source ERP, right? Like I can tell what production order or PO or even down into the whatever characteristics might be associated with that source document. Is that true?
Correct. So there are three essentials of this SLT transformation. So there is a financial data. So that means your entire financial document gets replicated, of course, with enriched added values in Universal Journal. There is a controlling aspect of it. And then what you mentioned, the third one is a cost object. So all three of them are replicated as and when they post in the source systems. So to give you that enrichment and to give the add-ons of the S4HANA system.
Wow. It opens a lot of possibilities. The wheels are turning. We've got one last sort of simplification topic I want to cover here, and that's group reporting. So Kenny, can you walk us through a little bit about what this brings to the table? There's a lot going on this slide, but I think this is pretty exciting, and how maybe it relates to central finance as well.
Yes. Yeah, I'll try to simplify this, but this is a huge offering from SAP space, where they did not have a very good solution matching the other third-party solutions that Oracle or other companies had. So a lot of people traditionally would use SAP ECC and then go to third-party systems for consolidations. But now SAP has done this really game-changing, brought this really game-changing solution for us. So to simplify, there's of course a lot going on. To simplify, what this means is, so say for example, I have 4 entities in different countries: Germany, France, Switzerland, and US. And their base ledgers, like we spoke earlier, they have their own extension ledgers or whatever going on in their world. And they come the month and they do the top side adjustments. And so everything in their world is done in their own ledger. Let's call it ledger 1 or ledger 2. And then going back into the ledger 2 concept, which is again the main ACDoc-A, the universal journal going back. So that is where the preparations of for this take place. So what that means is all the data is aggregated. So everything, so without the topside entries and all that good stuff, everything is posted into my media, into my ledger too in this case. But the magic of eliminations and consolidations actually take place in an altogether new table called ACDoc-U. This is a different table than AC.K, but this is the table where I do the eliminations and consolidations and any with at any currency translations and all that stuff is all done over here. So this gives me my group reporting view or group reporting or enables group reporting for my entire organization. And it
So
is
let
real.
me ask you this. A lot of companies today are doing this in non-SAP systems that have to be integrated. Is there an opportunity there to potentially bring this inside of S4 and simplify the landscape and maybe save the cost of those third-party tools?
Yes, not only that, of course, not only that, but it also, you can use this everything into single S4 system and take it to the SAP's SAC systems now to do all different kind of FP&A analysis, which would have your actuals, which would have your group consolidated views, which would have any planning data, which we didn't get a chance to cover today. There's an ACDoc P table. So all of these come together for really cool planning versus actuals versus consolidations. All it covers the entire ground and gives you different dashboards and tables for you to do your truly good insight-based reporting.
Okay, well, this is really cool. We're running short on time again, so we've covered a lot, and I want to save a moment to get through some Fiori apps that we've highlighted. But we've seen some benchmarks that point to major efficiency improvements. So we really want to encourage everyone to take this to heart. I mean, there's a lot more to dig into as you embark on your S4 journey, or if you're already there. But I encourage you not to look at S4 as just business as usual. You know, so often we do a technical upgrade and the system looks exactly like it did before. There's so much opportunity here in the finance space to try drive business value. So take a hard look at your processes and think about how you might be able to take advantage of these features and simplifications. I could say rethink and reboot your business process. And if you've already made the move to S4, it's not too late. If you're maybe seeing some of this stuff for the first time, you can still turn it on. You can still take advantage of it and do some of that optimization exercise even now that you're already on S4. So I think there's just so much opportunity from a practical business value perspective, and too often we see the SAP customers aren't getting to that. So hopefully this has planted some seeds for you and will lead to you digging a little bit deeper down the road. So finally, I want to jump into Fiori. We've got a few examples of apps here. There's over 1,000 Fiori apps now, and this is, if you're not familiar, this is the new user interface or web-based tool that SAP has introduced to make it a little bit more usable. But it's a little hard to weed through 1,000 apps to figure out what I really need. So I asked Kenny and some folks to brainstorm what we thought were some of the most impactful, and we're going to jump through those very quickly at this point. So trial balances, Kenny, what's the 10-second version of this?
Yep, I'll try my best. So basically, trial balances on steroids. So with the ability to, on the left side, if you see the navigation, so I can basically do slice and dice by any of these available fields or objects like profit center, segment, functional area, business area. I can pull them on the right side and do my all this kind of balances and see how things are looking.
Okay, my personal favorite, I was doing cartwheels when I saw this bad boy, but T accounts, one of my favorite things, and they're going to take away my pen and paper. It's all done for me now.
Yeah, but yeah, this is accountants' favorites as well. This is really helpful, especially for slightly complicated transactions where we see more than 10, 15 lines where the accountants can actually now see their T accounts view, something that they love to see how everything is posted in real time. Any document is posted, and there is an ability just to go to the document and look, click on the T account view, and this opens up all of this for you.
That's just a beautiful thing. I love it. Another very cool thing is document flow, and this isn't just in finance. This is, you can see it goes all the way back to the source. So if you're used to document flow and order to cash or procure to pay or any of those areas, it just is on steroids here with the visual display of it.
Correct. So over here, what we are showing is a particular example for the sales order flow, but it is possible for other different flows as well. What this means is how, when a document is posted in SAP, what is its corresponding document that gets posted in the financial world in the Universal Journal, single source of truth. So over here, for example, the delivery, the PGI, or the credit memo, or the journal entry for the billing, and even the clearing of those invoices. So all of this, it just gives a pictorial representation of how and what with the numbers and the amounts and all the good stuff, how it is posting, or the relationship between the source and the financial documents.
Wow. Dashboards. And these can be customized for individual people. So these are just some examples of the types of things that you can look at in real time, right?
Correct. So our S4 comes with what is called as embedded analytics, and we will see different dashboards for different apps. But this is one of our favorites that we use. This is the aging analysis. Of course, like Jason mentioned, we can customize it to however we want it. But over here, what we are seeing is the AR breakdown by country, by all the risk class, all that good stuff, the aging analysis, the cash good collector, the DSO block, and each of these we can click into and get the tabular form of that as well. So it is not that it is giving you these cool statistical tabs. It also has the table behind it, so you can download those tables right over here and then do some analysis the way that you want to.
Account balance, audit trails. This is great.
Yep. And I mean, everyone is used to seeing this, but not in this particular way. If you see over here, Jason, the posting date option. You can actually say, you can choose what your posting periods would be. It could be years, months, or whatever. So it's very useful for audit trails or things like that. It's a different view of the same data that already exists in reports like FBL 1N or 3N, 5N, all that good stuff, but in a pulling more data.
Yeah, so instead of kicking off FBL 1N and heading home and then waiting for it to be ready in the morning when I come back, I can look at large data sets much more quickly, going back again to the database and the extreme simplification that we touched on earlier. So similar, but all the more powerful.
Yeah.
Inventory analysis. This is near and dear to my heart, but unfortunately, we really do got to get moving. So I'm going to kind of punch through these pretty fast. But the idea here is a lot of these cards are available, and they can be set up as a standard dashboard based on the role in your business and the kind of things that we want people to monitor. So super powerful stuff, and just generally easier for people that are used to phones and tablets these days to take advantage of. This one's pretty cool, the asset balance.
The same concept. Yeah, that's a same concept. So now we can see the asset balance is again slice and dice. If you want by asset class, by asset cost center, asset funds, we can just pull those things up into on the right side and see the same amounts in with different views in different slice and dice. That's what this is.
And one more really cool one, when we talked about allocations earlier, this is great to see it graphically.
Correct. Remember the universal allocation stuff and where we spoke about. So it is showing how my allocations are transferring values from the source, cost objects, cost centers, WBS elements, internal orders, any of those into the target, into how my shared services are actually shared. You can see an awesome pictorial representation of that. And of course, any of these apps, they have these what is called external links, if you see over here. So I can actually go into my cost center actuals right from here, budget report, any of these, and I can also customize these. So so there are plenty of options from Fury apps point of view, which allows different kinds of drill downs of the same data, or so different views of the same data.
Well, then I got a little bit premature. It wasn't our last one. I know you love this next one around product cost analysis.
Oh yes. So again, the costing and the COPA thing we spoke about. So this is a single big tool that gives everything that we need to know from a production order or process order point of view. So what this gives is my target cost, my plan cost, my actual cost, my variances, and the split of those variances, the order status, and so much more information all in one stop. So I just need to run it and basically have and download an Excel and do all kinds of analysis in a single stop. So this is variance analysis on steroids for the people who struggle with it. This is the app that you need.
Awesome. All right, well, that wraps it up, Kelly. I don't know if we've used too much time, if we do have any time for questions, or if we just need to jump to the wrap up, but hopefully this has been helpful and informative. And well, reach out to us if you've got questions and have other, want to go deeper.
Now we have some time for a couple questions that came through, so let's jump right into it. I do have the first question that came through was soft close sounds great, but what if my transactional activity isn't fully real time?
I mean, your
That's a
transactional,
fair question.
no, but the transactional would be real time. That's the whole power of Universal Journal. So there is, like I covered in the beginning, there is no chance of a transactional not being real time. So your general
I
ledger.
think maybe the question's more along the lines of like if I'm not doing my consumption in real time, things like that. So a lot of times in the accounting processes, maybe we're not necessarily consuming everything in real time, but we're truing it up at the end of the month or something. So there may be I'm thinking maybe some process changes we want to look at, like back flushing or, process changes on the floor in terms of how the transactional data is recorded to make sure that we can take advantage of that real time. Is that fair?
Yeah, that'll be exactly totally head on. So yeah, then we would take a look at your backflush or things like that to make it as close to real time as possible. It's a different conversation, but from financial point of view, that's the power of it. Everything is real time.
Excellent. Okay.
So the next question we have up is, could I use central finance as a first step in the S4 migration, even if I don't have multiple ERPs or multiple instances of SAP?
Yes, exactly, we can. And the advantage of that would be, so there are two advantages of that. One is I can the period of S4 implementation is way shorter. I can directly go to S4 immediately and use the power of S4 to immediately start reporting and doing all that good stuff that S4 offers. Instead of waiting for 2 years or whatever to get the full things up and running. And second advantage is if you think your company is going to be acquiring other companies, then it is a very good tool to have, so that anytime that happens, you have a readily available system that enables connecting those systems and enables you to bring the other company easily on S4 as well.
And I guess if you couple that with group reporting on top of it, it just streamlines that whole process of acquisitions, if that's what you're into, huh?
Correct.
Okay. Anything
All right,
else, Kelly?
yeah, I got two more. Let's run through these. All right, do you believe that a separate consolidation solution might be needed, and in what kind of scenarios? So this question came in when you guys are talking, it was right around slide 2022.
Yeah, we talked about, I think, group reporting again, right? Where we said maybe we can eliminate the need for third-party consolidation tools. So Kenny, I'll let you take off on that.
There is no need for any third-party solution at all with group reporting. It's a very powerful tool, again, automatically reconciled to your universal journal. And then, of course, it gives you different kinds of views and then can be used with SAC to give you the FP&A analysis. So short answer is no, not needed.
And that
is that
right.
something that you would bite off as part of the initial migration, or would you maybe potentially keep that and then migrate over to group reporting later? Or is that more of a
No, we can definitely implement it separately.
okay. Okay.
And I think that falls right into the next question is, how do you see an allocation of financial planning and simulation between S4 and SAC? Zach?
Kenny, I know this is near and dear to your heart, so I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so it's of course it's a separate license from an SAC point of view, but again it's a real-time flow of data and then the automatic dashboarding, and then if I don't know if people have heard from SAP Sapphire, they have come with a new tool called Joule, which is same as a Chat GPT. So so data flows from SAP to SAC real time, and then we can basically start talking to SAP through SAC. um, it's called Just Ask. So you ask questions and it answers it for you.
So I think to just underscores again, kind of getting the foundational house in order in S4 with your data integrity and your process standardization, and really taking advantage of some of these simplification tools and innovations in S4 to prepare the business to then take advantage of those more powerful tools in the AI space and machine learning and the things that SAC brings to the table. Again, the data, the AI is only as good as the data that you feed it. And so I think optimizing those business processes on the front end, and honestly, you can start doing, if you haven't moved to S4, you can start doing some of that work now. We've actually seen good value from some of our clients where we do some optimization in ECC. Some of those benefits are realized on the fly and free up capital to actually help fund the S4 migration and also streamline the S4 migration, because we've already cleaned up some of the house before we move over. So some things to consider if you're not already on S4.
All right, well, that wraps up our Q&A for this webinar, but thank you both very much for all this information. Good insights, lots of information here. Feel free, if anybody still has further questions, our information is here on the screen, and go ahead and reach out to us and we'll get back to you to answer any further questions you have. So this concludes our webinar. Thank you, Jason. So just for those of you who are looking for some more additional knowledge or insights, Reveal TV is now live and available, and this is offering bite-sized on-demand videos and demos, delivering some SAP training across all areas of the supply chain. So you can find this valuable resource on our website under the Insights tab, or just visit the URL here on the screen, revealvalue.com/reveal-TV. So you might want to check that out for some additional insights. And our next webinar is coming up in August on the 21st, and this will be on S4HANA versus ECC's Enterprise Asset Management and Field Services. So you can register for that on our website, and underneath the Insights tab as well. And thank you all for joining us today. We hope you found this webinar informative and hope to see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.